It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day, and it's a special edition of Walkabout Wednesday on Thursday in my garden. It's been a couple of weeks because we were gone and then we were on a big project in Forest Ranch, so I thought it would be fun to just be really real and show you what this garden looks like mid-August here in Chula Vista with really no attention from me for the last probably couple of weeks. Last time we did our walkabout, I talked about these gutters and how I wasn't going to do much with them until it cooled down, and I'm still standing by that. But these platyphylla spent blooms, which are all brown and crunchy, I can clip those off if I want. Look at my gorgeous little Dorothea, my little aloe. This has been such a treat in my garden. It has turned orange, it has turned red, it has turned green. I mean, it has just put on a show, and I love this. I have to say that in my garden, this is one of my favorite plants. And I know this is looking a little leggy, and the string of pearls still looks tragic, and I don't know, this was kind of an experiment to see how these would do as cuttings in the shade in the summer, and they aren't doing. So we may just abandon ship on this, I don't know. But, all in all, this is not horrifically offensive, right? My euphorbia snowflake looks amazing, and of course all the cactus looks spectacular. My euphorbia millii, you can see all these spent blooms that I can just remove easily. They just pick right off. And I just love the little crest. It looks like a whale's tail to me. My Pilosoceros azurus continues to delight. Can't wait for that to bloom. Oh, look, Greg's little plant. We've talked about this one before. It's throwing off a leaf. Yay, he'll be so excited about that. And that's Bentley keeping us safe because that is his job. Yeah, everything here looks great. I cut off a lot of these donkey tails that were really long to put in my fountain because the fountain was looking so tragic, and the donkey tails does so great in my garden, and is super, super tough. The millii variegate looks really good. Oh, all of my little propagates. These poor things are still hanging in there. Look at that. It has been months, right, since the beginning of quarantine, like since March, and they're all still just hanging in. And our Fred Ives, look at that. Look at how great this is looking. I'm really super happy with that. I think probably this winter I'll be able to pop off these babies and plant them. Since they're doing so well, I'm just going to let that ride for as long as possible. I fertilize my citrus trees every 3 months with an organic fertilizer. And I've got some little Satsuma mandarins here that are starting to set. Also have some leaf miner. That's a worm, a little tiny worm that gets into the tissue of the leaf and causes it to curl. It won't kill the plant, but it sure looks like crap. There's not a whole lot I can do about it because I don't want to put pesticides on my food source. So we're just going to deal with that. My sun glow looks fantastic. Remember this little arrangement that I planted? It was really, really hot, and I said, I'm going to put these tough things in here and we'll see how they do. And I have to say that the aloes are hanging in there, right? I mean, this doesn't look that awful. I'm pretty happy with that. My aloe Hercules, I planted this as a 10-inch plant a number of years ago, and I was sitting outside the other evening and I was thinking, oh my gosh, decisions are going to have to be made about this pretty soon, aren't they? I mean, it's getting really, really huge. Oh my goodness. And my Diamondia still looking good. It's suffered a little bit of dieback in the heat, but I know that it will make a comeback in the winter time. The Brugmansia that fell over is now back to being about 8 feet tall. That didn't take long. The bougainvillea looks like crap right now. I did fertilize it recently and water it. But another thing, remember about bougainvillea is the flowers are actually leaves on this plant. So, you know, when it drops its flowers, it usually just goes pretty much to wood, and it looks pretty ratty. But I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to worry about it. 'Tis the season. I might go ahead and trim it back a little bit. I try to keep all the branches that are moving out cut back so that it will just grow tight against the wall. The Stephanotis is looking good. Stephanotis is a plant that loves summertime, so it's been blooming and smelling fantastic. You can see that my Synodenium in the back corner is leafy and beautiful because it really loves the shade in my garden. I had this plant out front and it wasn't happy. My topsy-turvies look a little tragic. They're tired and kind of sun-stressed, probably a little dried out too, but they're okay. I mean, if I wanted to, I could take some cuttings and pop them in to fluff them up, but I just don't want to do that to cuttings knowing that September is going to probably be hotter than August. So again, just support what you have. This little arrangement here is still looking good. My agave variegate is stunning. Oh my goodness. It's happy hour for the pets at the Eubanks. This is making me so happy. For years, you know this, for years, I drug an umbrella out here every summer. And I left this umbrella covering this fountain the entire summer long. And I just decided this year, I'm tired of doing that. So I cut all of the string of pearls all the way back to nubs. And I put in the donkey tail, which, as I said, in my garden is pretty tough and looks pretty good. I did Graptosedum ghosties. I did some Fred Ives. I put in some aloes. I did tougher things. Look, oh my gosh, look at these Kalanchoe tomentosas back here. I didn't realize how great those were doing. This is an interesting microclimate too, just in the fountain. This area gets more shade, and the tomentosas are just loving it, as is the calico kitten. And look at the wisteria acting like an umbrella over the fountain. That has also delighted me this year. Oh dear, my roses. Yeah, these were gorgeous in the spring. They'll continue to throw off a little bit of flowers through the summer, but they're for the most part done. I did apply a liquid systemic to them to kind of keep the cutworm at bay and some of the mites and spider mites and whatnot. There's lots of new growth that's coming on the roses right now, so that's pretty exciting too. Those of you that have been paying attention may notice that I moved the Mediopicta and the Agave Blue Glow. I just wasn't enjoying them over in the trash can area. I also have an announcement to make about that area, so there's that. My raised bed that we planted out at the beginning of quarantine is still looking absolutely amazing. I have done nothing in here except water, and it looks great. My little propeller plant, the South African falcata, the bloom is almost done, but it's still really spectacular. My sunburst crest is hanging in there by its fingernails, but looking good. Here's another little aloe Dorothiae that is coloring up nicely in the summer. And our Cameronii has decided to really start getting aggressive about rooting. So this time next year, I'll probably have to pull it out, cut it up, and reset it. My gutters here are looking great. These are all the planting cans. Oh, actually not all of them. We still have some in the truck. From the 4S project, we had hundreds of plants on that project. And we're going to be having to take these to the dump since the nurseries won't take them back anymore here in California. But, announcement, I have a new website. LauraEubanks.com. You might want to check it out. You can sign up on an interest list for my master class. I'm going to be doing a succulent tapestry start to finish, very intensive. I will, of course, be giving you a lot more information about that as the weeks move forward. But this is the area that I'm going to be working in. I'm going to be adding gutters, and I am going to be just designing the crap out of this for you guys. It's going to have everything from tapestry, foundation plants, intricate rock work, irrigation, the whole 9 yards. And we will talk about it step by step. So you can look forward to that. Also, now is a really good time when it's hot to protect some of your more tender plants from sun. This is some screen, literal screening that I put over these perii. These were absolutely gorgeous plants last year. I took them to a job, left them in the car too long, and you can see the bottom leaves are all sunburnt and scarred. But I knew that they would grow out of that eventually. So these perii have been here in the Garden of Death for a year. I'm growing them out. So by this, by next year, we should be in really good shape, and I can then use those in an installation. But hey, patience, right? And here's my soft underbelly. Here is the fabled Garden of Death. These are plants that I put here to live or die, but it's up to them. This is the Synodenium that I took out of the front Aeonium bed because it just refused to thrive. It actually looks better here sitting on top of the ground than it did in the ground in the front. I've got some ruticope and some undulata and just some cast-offs that I wasn't ready to give up. This is also Crassula argenteaville over here. I never water this. This stays fairly shady all day. I've got some Sansevieria. I've got some Aleuautia procera cuttings. Some really, really soft, fuzzy Aeonium. These will all be pressed into service either in my backyard or on a job as we move forward into the season. This is classic sunburn right here. You remember was it a couple weeks ago, Hannah, that we redid this? It's such a blur, right?
Dad did the video, so.
It's not been more than a couple weeks though, but you can see that scarring is very, very normal sunburn. These flanking container gardens, this one is taking more of a beating than this one, interestingly enough. This one actually looks really good.
You did this one first.
Oh, okay. Hannah says I did this one first, so it's probably rooted more significantly. This one is just so crunchy, the poor thing. But everything is alive, and that's the most important thing. Is it alive? And look, we have really, really great roots. So these cuttings have rooted, which means I can start watering. So the next Walkabout Wednesday that I do for you, I think we're going to see a drastic improvement on how this looks. Yeah, the hot mess of Aeoniums right here in the front and my love-hate relationship with them. They're just so dry and desiccated.
The back looks so good.
Yeah, the back part looks good, but the front part looks really, really not good. So, I either need to take the time to get in there and really clean out all the detritus, or just let it look like crap, which is kind of where I'm leaning at this point. I will be cutting and resetting all of these in the wintertime, and I think that they will probably give me another year or two of looking good. The Aleuautia procera looks great. This plant does love some water, so if you have one, make sure to give it some water. You can see the sunburn on the Aleuautia procera too. That's normal. The radiant heat has caused the leaves to burn. So don't worry about the cosmetic stuff, guys. It's going to be okay. We are in for some heat. Just remember to minimize water. If you're not watering, you can take that time to subscribe to my channel, like the videos, get out there and do what you can. But most of all, lower your expectations. Fall is coming and everything is going to be okay. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with Walkabout Wednesday on Thursday and your succulent tip of the day.